Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have John. John has a bomb drop of February 1st, 2023, a date of marriage of 2004, and he's not familiar with energy level or contact types. He says, my wife has always been avoidant. Her mom passed away in 2017, September. She had breast cancer. In February of 2018, I lost my overtime, and this forced her to go back to work, which she didn't want to do. In 2019, she turned 40, and the family lost her grandfather's beach vacation home. In February of 2023, I had 3 months to retire from law enforcement, and we had a few uneventful fights over dinner. Her mother had suffered from depression and was a hoarder. My wife left in the middle of the night with our 3 boys, leaving a letter saying she didn't know if she was doing the right thing and she was sorry. Then it says, I was giving temporary custody. So I'm thinking it says I was giving. So she was telling you that you were giving her temporary custody. That's the assumption I'm giving, even though you weren't doing an action in that. So she's telling you what you're doing. Okay. She told our mutual girlfriend that she was mad that I didn't lose my temper, and she wondered what I was up to. By the grace of God, I avoided all of the pushes, but she wasn't willing to work on the marriage, so I dropped it. 8 months later, she ended up in the emergency room. And now she has a psychiatrist, and she's had 4 visits. I'm getting conflicting information on how to proceed as for standing, who is as a standing left behind spouse who is praying for reconciliation. I can see why. You are getting conflicting information because there's a lot going on here with her psychologically and in her history. And the thing that really jumps out, I mean, there's a few things, but the thing that jumped out at me after the first things, though, was she's under psychiatric care. She ended up in the emergency room. 2 things that were really huge for me were she left in the middle of the night with your children. That's not normal for MLC. I'm not saying that MLCers do or don't. I'm just saying we don't see that. So there's where the conflicting information is going to come. Where it's like, wait a second, she did what? And then the next one is she's under psychiatric care, which, given that she left in the middle of the night with her children and told you that you're giving me custody temporarily, but you're giving me custody of them right now. I have the kids. I have temporary. Basically, what she's saying is I have temporary custody of them. Either you're horrible, and I'm not going there, okay? And she's trying to escape from a dangerous and abusive situation where she's afraid of violence and that somebody is going to be hurt, including her children. And she was to the point that she had to sneak away in the middle of the night. Or she's got some very serious psychological problems. And then you back that up. She has some psychological issues with 8 months she ended up in the ER and is now under psychiatric care. And so the information is conflicting because we don't know enough of what's going on with this. We know from what you've said that first thing she's upset is, I don't know what he's doing. He's planning something, because what's he up to? Being so nice. She's got a paranoia going on. But also, you do wonder if you're being so mean to somebody, maybe they're just biding their time trying to go, okay, I just need to walk on tender feet now until I can get to where we want to go, and then I can do what I need to do. And then I can get the strength. Then I can snatch the kids away. Then I can get to the court. Then I can do something. She's waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I'm not saying that it's paranoia. It could be a paranoia that's going on there. Or, why is he being so nice when I'm being so horrible? She doesn't understand the grace. And so you have avoided losing your temper. Amazing, given that she took your children. So she's always been avoidant. I mean, she left in the middle of the night. The problem we're having with talking about what to do as a stander is we're dealing with somebody who might have deeper psychological issues. And that has left any advisors, including me, off kilter a little bit on what to do with that. So let's go over some of the basics that you need to do for standing. First thing, you're a father. You take care of your children. You see that they are safe. If they are in her care, are they safe? Don't look at whether they were safe before. Let's go before her mom died. Were they safe before 2017? Are they safe now? She's had some psychological breaks. Are they safe now? It's not saying she's a bad parent. My uncle was schizophrenic. He was never a bad parent. But he didn't have the capacity in his schizophrenia to be a parent. And it had nothing to do with him being bad. He was loving. He just didn't have the ability. And so does she have the ability? We're not talking dangerous like she's going to hurt them. We're not talking dangerous like she's going to be mean to them. But does she have the ability? So, first, you take care of your children. Next, and this is right on primary with the kids, because you can't take care of your children if you don't heal yourself. You work on getting yourself healed. And yeah, you might say, well, I'm doing a really great job of it. And you probably are, because you were able to avoid all the pushes. She wasn't willing to work on the marriage, so you dropped it. You didn't lose your temper. Already amazing. But keep going on that. You have to keep doing that. It's not personal, and I think you might get that. It's not personal, so continue. When you think you're detached, you're still not. When you think you're detached, then you might learn, oh, I was detached, but now I'm not. It really was that you weren't detached in all situations. When you have less contact, you're going to feel more detached. When you have more contact, more going on, more drama, it's going to be harder to stay emotionally regulated. So keep up with the practice that's going to keep you emotionally regulated. Because just because you're emotionally regulated this month doesn't mean you will be next month. And so give yourself some insurance to be emotionally regulated this month by not just saying, well, I'm good this month. So that is your mindfulness. That is any therapy you may need. But look at mindfulness and other things that can help you be calm, be relaxed, meditative type of things. What can you do to maintain and sustain your feelings of peace and detachment in the midst of things that are trying not to let you feel peaceful? That's the challenge, is you have to be the eye in the storm. And you have to be that all the time. It sucks. But that's your job. You have to be the anchor. Sometimes an anchor weighs us down. Sometimes an anchor is our stability. Which anchor are you going to be? Sometimes it's going to be, you're going to have your moments. That's what you're going to do as a stander. Now, when it comes to conflicting information on how to proceed as a stander, some of the conflicting information that I see out there is, well, you should have no contact with your spouse. I don't know where she is, because you haven't said that she is or isn't at home. You said that she is under the care. You said that she wasn't willing to work on the marriage, so you dropped it. But does that mean that that there's a divorce in process? She left with the kids. Did the kids come back home? Where are things like that? Should you have zero contact with her? What should you do? I am not a proponent of no contact, except under certain circumstances. I am not seeing those circumstances right now. I am a proponent of limited contact, of being dark, of not having so much contact, because I know that it affects detachment, and I know that detachment improves, and you can grow into that, and healing improves. You can get more healed with less contact. The less drama, and contact brings drama. Even if they're not trying to bring drama, you're being influenced by the memories of what you're not getting also. You're being triggered. So limiting contact. Look at dark. Going dark and dim. It means you have contact. Even if you live with somebody, it means setting up some emotional boundaries. It means doing what you've done is not losing your temper. And when you feel you're about to, now what are you going to do? How do you maintain the emotional regulation? So how to proceed as standing, there are some things that are just shouldn't be conflicting, and those are the things that shouldn't be. You heal. You detach. You become emotionally, when I say detached, there needs to be a level of attachment and connection. So what I mean is right now, it's about emotional regulation. If your emotions have been enmeshed, you need to look at how to get them not so that you know whose emotions are whose. You know where you start, and you haven't lost between the two of you. Who's this and who's this? You're like two tangled pieces. If you've been able to not lose your temper, you're pretty good at that. Okay. So it's maintaining your emotional regulation right now. And if you need help with that through therapy and mindfulness, get it. Because that's what's important. If your kids need help with that, get it. So the things that are conflicting are the contact. Or should you keep her stuff there? Or should you send it to her? Should you file for divorce or separation or not? Should you help her with divorce or separation or not? Where should you be resistant and where should you not? Where should you fight for what you feel is right? And where should you know what? I feel it's right, but I surrender. That's where you might be getting conflicting information, and I completely understand it because some of it is the situation confuses us. Some of it is because every situation, or not even situation, every person is going to be different, even when the situations might be, this is a clinging boomerang. And they have an alienator that is a limerent object and they live with them. But even then, that clinging boomerang is going to be different than this clinging boomerang. And so if I fight this with my husband and call him on his bluff, it might work. The person next to me looks like the same situation on paper, does that, and it doesn't work. So standing is a lab experiment. You test this and, oh, it doesn't work with my spouse, I pull back. It does work. And there are other things where it works, but it doesn't feel like it works. It feels like it blows up in your face because we're planting seeds and you don't know that that was really working. And maybe what meant, let's say you had a vent, like you just went off, but you knew what you were doing. And did that work? Or did I just mess everything up? Or you had a fight and you didn't know what you were doing. I messed everything up. And maybe you didn't. Maybe it cleared the air. They needed to see that, yes, you do have emotions and you are upset. You're not always so even kilter that it seems like you don't even care. Because that's one of the things that it seems like when she's waiting for you to get mad, sometimes it seems like you don't care. And she's avoidant. Her mom was depressed. Was her mom depressed? How old was she when her mom was depressed? She grew up with a depressed mom. That can lead to a child not knowing what to expect, not feeling the stability. And the mom might love you a lot, but they just don't have the ability to do the work. To get up out of bed and take care of you. And that then the children become the caregivers. And she doesn't know what to do with it. She doesn't know how to handle it. And so she goes into her shell because mom didn't come out of hers. And she couldn't fix that. And so she doesn't know how to handle these emotions. And it has been so bad for her with having been raised by a depressed mom, that she's now under psychiatric care. To the point, not just like, yeah, I'm seeing a professional, I'm in therapy. She ended up in the ER. Support her in everything she needs to do in being in the ER. Take the kids. Have custody of the kids. have the contact that you can handle while getting emotionally regulated, while remaining emotionally regulated by becoming better at your emotionally regulated, but while getting better and better, while improving. When you start to regress, then you know, okay, we need to change the contact. I'm having a little too much contact, that sort of thing. Conflicting information on others, you resist and you see what happens. Because it's going to work for one person and not for another. So I don't know specifically what conflicting information you're getting, but it is a lab experiment. So sometimes the information is conflicting because what works for you isn't going to work for me. And that makes this hard. It does. Okay? But I hope what I've said can give you an idea of what can help you and why the information is conflicting. It's conflicting for everybody, but I think it might be more conflicting in your situation because with the seriousness of when you say psychiatric problems, when you say she's under psychiatric care and she had to go to the ER and she left in the middle of the night with her kids, it's like, wow, that's really big. Okay. So I hope this helps. And I will see everybody in the next question.